Hey everybody, this is your daily Philcast, a daily prayer and affirmation podcast where we delve into the Word together. I read you guys a devotional, I read you some affirmations, and pray you guys out so you start your day in the right headspace. This episode is coming out a little bit later than I would usually like for it to, but for everyone to know, had a follow-up appointment with my doctor this morning, figuring out some medication for me that will work for me. For some mental health issues that I have going on right now. So, reason I'm telling you guys that it's not for pity. I don't want you to take pity on me, but I do want your prayers. So, if you'll just pray for me and pray for my wife as well. We're it's a big adjustment right now. I'm trying to figure out how to work life just with the diagnosis that I have and stuff like that. So just thank you all again for your continued prayer and your continued support for us. And it really does mean a lot to us. But guys, we're going to go ahead and get into it here. The story we read yesterday was Abram and Lot separating from each other, Lot went to the Jordan, and Abram stayed, I believe, in Canaan. Canaan is where he stayed in. But sorry about that, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get into Genesis 14 here. This is Abram rescuing Lot. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, these kings made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemebar, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. And all these joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th they had rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim in Ashtrath-Canarim, the Zunim in Ham, the Emim in Shevev Kerithium, and the Horites in their hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran, on the border of the wilderness. Then they had turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and defeated all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, who were dwelling in Hazazon Tamar. And I know I butchered all of that. I am so sorry. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zor, went out, and they joined battle in the valley of Siddim, with Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Some fell into them, and the rest fled into the hill country. So the enemy took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their provisions, and went their way. They also took Lot, the son of Abram's brother, who was dwelling in Sodom, and his possessions, and went their way. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and Aner. These were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his kinsmen had been taken captive, he led forth his trained men born in his house, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. Then he divided his forces against them by night, and his servants, and he and his servants, and defeated them, and pursued them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then he brought back all the possessions, and also brought back his kinsman Lot with his possessions, and the women and the people. After his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And Abram gave him 1/10 of everything, And the king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me some of the persons, but take the goods for yourself." But Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted my hand to the Lord God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I would not take a thread or sandal strap or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me. Let Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre take their share." Wow. Some really, really interesting stuff here. This kind of entire chapter here, Abram is kind of getting in the middle of a war, and he's just a dude with 300 people, he's got 300, it says, what does it say here? It says, trained men born of his house, 318 of them. And those trained men, they're servants for Abram's house that had been trained in battle. So they're people who knew how to use weapons and stuff like that. So, Abram is just a dude with people that have come to fight with him, fighting against, not really fighting against, but getting in the middle of a dispute between kings. I just find it very very cool that he did that, and even the kings were this is a guy that we can't really mess with, right? Because he's blessed. So I find it really interesting. And another thing that I wanted to say here, they call him, then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew. They call him Abram the Hebrew. And I was curious about what they meant by that. So it does say right here that it was probably an ethnic indication, designating Abraham as a descendant of Eber, but it could have also been a disparaging word used to designate a widely dispersed social class of semi-nomads. So it was either kind of designation saying Hebrew of his lineage, or they were kind of using it as a racial slur to kind of denote him and maybe make him feel a little bit less than. So it's I just find it very interesting, that kind of faith. If God told me to go stand in the way of kings in a war, I probably would second guess that a lot. So, and who's to say that Abram didn't? So, I love this this whole thing that's going on with Abraham right now, and we're about to get into God's covenant with Abram. So, I'm very, very excited to get into this new stuff here. But that was the word that we're reading today. I am absolutely loving Genesis. Part of what I love just about the Old Testament and stuff like that is just that this is the stuff that I know they had more spiritual text than what we have here. They had more that was in their, what am I trying to say? There was more to what they were doing than just my goodness. We have parts of the Old Testament. That's what I'm trying to say. We have parts of the Old Testament, but they had more in their text that they were reading from. So I find it really, really interesting that that we're reading a lot of the same stuff that people from the New Testament. This is what they were reading. That they kind of built all of their belief and stuff off of this. So I find it really interesting, partly because of that, but this is stuff that has survived for so long, and it's just kind of incredible that we still have it. We still have it, and we can still look at it, and it still resonates. It's still, we still feel like the stories and stuff are things that are still prevalent today. Maybe not in the same type of way, because there are so many more people now and so many more problems that we have, but still it's just that they are still prevalent, even these thousands and thousands of years later. So guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the devotional together here, but before we do get into the devotional, Guys, I do have a sponsor for this podcast. They've been with us. They weren't with me when I first started, but they got on board very quickly, and they've been just absolutely awesome to me. And Kaylee really likes them. Kaylee's my wife, by the way. Kaylee really likes them. She tells me all the time that how lucky we are to have people, to have these people that believe in us so much and want us to succeed and all that stuff. So guys, they sent me a lot of ad read here that I can read, but they also sent me testimonials and stuff from people that have used the service, and also the owner sent me a bunch of videos, and he's been talking to me a lot. So but I'm just really, what I'm doing is I'm just taking the video that they sent me and I'm just converting it into audio. So I mean, you guys don't see the video here, but there is a video that I'm watching when we do this, when I put in this ad read here. So I just think it's really cool because it's all very personalized to me, and they sent me all of this. So and I'm just I get maybe 3, 4, 5 plays on every single one of these episodes. So they're taking a big risk and just helping me out here. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here, guys, and I'm gonna let whoever this is tell you guys about my sponsorship here.
Hey everybody, it's me, John Lennon from the Beatles. I have something to tell you all about this Philip Belgian fella, Philly Two Hats he's called. Oh, he's a right chap, and he's... So what you should do is you should go to patreon.com and you type in patreon.com/Philly2Hats, and you bring it up, and you listen and you read what he's got there, and you decide, well, I'll give him $5 a month to continue doing this, and well, that's what you do. Guys, I'm John Lennon from the Beatles. Or just obla-dee, It's me. I'm John Lennon, and I'm mates with Paul McCartney and Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono is my wife. And, well, bye.
Wow, thank you so much, John Lennon from the Beatles. That was unbelievable. I just like I said, guys, it's great that they're helping me out doing these ads and stuff like that, but just the quality of people that we get for these ads, it just really blows my mind. I mean, John Lennon, the guy's dead, so I think it's unbelievable. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get into the devotional here together. This one is called No Reverse, and it's based off of Exodus 16:2. Which is, in the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. I'm going to read it for you one more time here, guys. Exodus 16:2. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The first time I saw her, I fell in love. She was a beauty, sleek, clean, radiant. As soon as I spied the 1962 Ford T-Bird at the used car lot, her shiny exterior and killer interior beckoned me, so I plunked down $800 and purchased my very first car. But there was a problem lurking inside my prized possession. A few months after I bought my T-Bird, it got a little cranky. It allowed me to go forward, but I couldn't go backwards. It had no reverse. Although not having the reverse is a problem in a car, sometimes it's good to be a little like my old car. In our walk with Jesus, we need to refuse to go backward. Paul said we need to press on toward the goal. Perhaps the children of Israel could have used my T-Bird's transmission. We read in Exodus 16 that they were in danger of putting life into reverse. Despite the miracles God had performed, they longed for old Egypt. We need to keep moving ahead in our walk with God. Don't back up, look forward, and press on. And that was written by somebody named Dave Brennan, so thank you very much, Dave. And I really like the sentiment in this devotional here, that you can't reverse. The one problem I have with it is $800 for a used car. I don't know how old you are, Dave, but if you pay $800 for a used car, that car's, of course it's not going to, of course that car's not going to be able to go in reverse. You should have thought about that then. But no, just the sentiment here that you you can't go back. You can't go back and fix the mistakes that you've made. You can't go back and unsay things. You can't go back and unthink things. You can't go back and undo things. But you can learn to live with it, which in a lot of ways is a lot harder to do sometimes. Really harder to do. You literally can't go back, but learning how to press forward, how to continue, even like when things are just so hard, and you do not want to, it can be really difficult. It can be extremely trying. But thankfully, we have a resource that it doesn't make us better than anyone, but what it does do is it gives us something to lean on, which the unbelievers out there, guys, they do not have that. They lean on their own understanding, and it's really it's extremely discouraging when you're living in that state, because your own understanding, even if you're really, really smart, and you think that you've got it all figured out, your understanding is so flawed, because we live in a world that is broken, and we broke it. So we of course can't go back and fix it, but we do have to be able to lean on the Word, to lean on God, using the Word to lean on God, to know that it's God that we're leaning on, and not any kind of understanding that we have. It's really I think a lot of people that are outside of the church, they think of it as the easy way out, and it's so hard to tell them that it's not the easy way out. It actually is doing the hard thing. It's doing the hard thing, admitting that you don't have the answer, that you can't do it on your own. That is very, very hard. It would be very easy for us to kind of look at our lives and look at what's happened in our lives and stuff like that, and blame it on something that we don't understand. Something that we don't understand, but we know it wasn't our fault. And blame it. You can blame it on whatever you want. But there is a design at work that we can't understand, and there's a tapestry being woven that we can't see. And there are parts of it that I think when we look at it on our very, very small scale, all we see is the misery. We just see this. We look back and the section of the tapestry that we're looking at is just black, just so dark. But when we pull back, that darkness is going to be somebody else's light. And in that mystery, in that beauty, that's where we find comfort. That's where we find hope. So, guys, before I let you go here, I'm going to read you some affirmations, like I do, just so that you're able to kind of, if you're listening to this early on in the day, then this is for you to kind of center yourself around something positive here. But if you're listening to this at night, or any other time besides first thing in the morning, then these are things that you need to know, because they are always true. And if you don't feel like they're true, then there does have to be some kind of change that happens. Guys, I've been, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I'm bipolar. I have bipolar disorder, and it keeps me very angry sometimes. And a lot of these things that I'm about to say to you are things that I have a lot of trouble remembering. They're not easy things for me to remember sometimes, and for me to say to myself. But that's my brain lying to me. And if you don't feel like these things I'm about to say apply to you, then this is the best place for you. Either this podcast or your local church, or if you don't have a local church and you want a church, then guys, I have a Discord. You can talk to me there. You can find me on TikTok. I'm always willing to talk to somebody. This stuff doesn't have to be confusing, and I am not trying to convert you to Christianity. I want you to be a Christian, but I want you to be a Christian because God is your king, and it is how you are supposed to be living. And it's, believe me, guys. I know you may hear me saying all this, that I have bipolar disorder and all that stuff, and you'd be thinking, like, how can you still be a Christian? Guys, it's not my decision. It's not my decision. It's God is my king, and He is your king, whether we like it or not. He really is really the way it is. And we have a commission to do as Christians, to go out and make disciples. And that's what I want to do with this podcast. And I don't know if that's what I'm going to do with this podcast, but it is what I want to do. And I know that I need tools under my tool belt that when I get into conversations with people that are unbelievers, I need to be able to talk to them and know what I'm talking about. And I think in a lot of ways, that's kind of what we all need to do. I'm not a theologian. I don't know the Bible like the back of my hand. I've read the Bible from cover to cover before, but I was in a very, very dark place when I read it. I was young and looking for things to hate. That's not how you do it. That's not how you read this book. Because if you read this book, then you are able to discern the voice of God. If you read this book and you absorb it, then this is God-breathed, and now you know God's voice. And it's very hard to be confused by the enemy when you know God's voice. So, guys, I'm going to read you these affirmations now. You are deserving of love. You are saved by grace. You are considerate. You are a blessing to those around you. You are not broken beyond repair. You are a child of God. You are kind. You are generous. You are faithful. You are loving. You are not a failure. You are forgiven. You are not a victim. You are a warrior. You are supported. You are stronger than Satan. He is so weak, and God is more, and you can be a vessel for love. And I am deserving of love. I am saved by grace. I am considerate. I am a blessing to those around me. I am not broken beyond repair. I am a child of God. I am kind. I am generous. I am faithful. I am loving. I am not a failure. I am forgiven. I am not a victim. I am a warrior. I am supported. I am stronger than Satan. He is so weak, and God is more, and I can be a vessel for love. Guys, I pray that you go out into the world and that you treat others with grace, and that grace is given to you. I pray that you use discernment in all things that you do. I pray that in the things that you say, in the things that you hear, and the things that you see, that you use your discernment to know the truth. And I pray that you always put God before you, because He is always going before you.